So I just hit play with zero idea as to what I want to talk about. I don't know what I want to say. I'm literally on my phone right now, just scrolling, as I usually am, quiet to myself. I don't know what to say. It's been a while, y'all. I really miss doing this. I don't know if I posted it on here. I should have. But it's because YouTube has evolved so much since I started using YouTube. I don't use the new Creator Studio. I still use that old shit. I don't do too. I know they got stories now and shit, and you can actually post like almost like a tweet, and people who are subscribed to you will see it. See, I wasn't using YouTube when I had all of that, so that's why you don't see me do all of that. I just upload. That's all I do. I upload because it's my creative outlet. So y'all probably here don't get as much updates on me as people who follow me on Twitter would. So that is my first plug for you to go follow me on Twitter. If you don't have one, make one, follow me. So that first semester, spring semester of 2019, was my first 5-class full-time semester. I didn't know what to expect, so I was just like, I'm clearing my whole mental to focus on this. It was an experience. It was definitely tolling at first, because I had wild early classes, bro. My earliest class, I had to be up at like 6 in the morning, and I'm just not a morning person. And some people do that shit on the regular, but for me, bro, that's tough. All right, I was up at 6 to be in lab by 7. And I got a thinking fucking lab, man. It's kinesiology. But eventually, I broke into it, and I got used to taking 5, because I usually took 4 to 3. I was always a part-time student, and that's why I had more time to do YouTube. But times change, and that's why I was talking about Twitter. I posted the first, it was like my message just to people who just know me, like, yo, I'm gonna be doing this. It's not that I'm forgetting about this, but I just have to shift more energy to this part of my life right now. And that's because I didn't think I was gonna get a scholarship. Like, I didn't think I was good enough to get a scholarship. When I was younger, I had a lot of issues of fears of failure, which is a motherfucker, because I was always told as an individual of how much potential people see in me, and I think that's what got to my head, because I was always so scared to let people down, specifically my parents, which is wild because they didn't put a lot of pressure on me to do or be anything, because we're first generation from, I wasn't born here. I didn't spend the first years of my life here, and I was scared to not be something when I got the chance to be something, because people here, I'm getting into my foreigner bag OD right now. So people here don't, understand what real poverty, and I'm not saying that doesn't exist here. There's some projects in Brooklyn that you're gonna see the shit, but the general population doesn't understand what real struggle, what real poverty, what real no hope, I don't know what word I want to use for that, looks like. Which is not to take away from where I'm from, but it's just to say when I was in Jamaica, I could see the ceiling. If that makes sense to you. I could look up and see the ceiling right there. That's not the case. You can be anything. You can do anything. I carry that with me everywhere. And I think that's what motivated me so much now, to finally buy into the fact that I am kind of smart. I could do good in school. I can get a doctorate degree if I wanted to, which is actually the first thing my mom said to me. Because I really did do well this semester. I ended up making the dean's list, which is way beyond my expectations. But I did well, and I'm proud of myself for doing well. And I never thought, not only would I not get a scholarship, I never thought I'd make dean's list. The fuck? I mean, like, not to take away from myself, but it's just, I don't see those things for me. Other people see. It's one of those things other people see. I don't see it. And that's why I really bought in to spending all my focus on school for that semester. I uploaded so sparingly, maybe twice a week, if that. And it's not that I didn't want to upload, it's just I was somewhere else mentally. And not just that, it was a whole new experience. This was my first time I really felt in college. Because before I was just CC doing my associates, but now I'm at actual uni on campus. People live here. It was different. And I liked it. I fucked with it. It was cool. But I think trying to navigate mentally as to the new surroundings that I was in took away from my focus that I could dedicate elsewhere, which was YouTube. And I started caring about completely different things. I wanted to make the basketball team. I kind of still do, don't really give a fuck now. But early on in the semester, you know, I saw like the dudes that were just playing open gym, and I'm like, I can play with these dudes. You know, there's nothing that was intimidating me about them. And then I went to an actual game for us. We're D2. Our school is D2 basketball. And the team is good, but I'm sitting there like, you know, when you just know, like, I can run in this game. I can hold my own in this game. And I started just spending the little free time that I had on just playing ball. I was just playing ball, enjoying myself, practicing. Just like I had a new goal. I've come to call it something that I read in a book called The Way of the Superior Man. Very interesting read. It's called Shedding a Layer of Purpose, or so it was referred to. And I like how that was called, because when I posted that on Twitter, it felt like it's not that that's not part of me no more. It's just like I got a new coat and I got something else to focus on. And I was finding new things to focus on. At this point now, I don't really care about playing for the basketball team as much, to be honest with you. But it was just, that's the kind of place I was in. I was looking in new directions, and that's why I wasn't really looking back, so to say, at YouTube. And I was going through, like, I guess a mental transition period where I was like, Andre, what do you care about? You know, what do you want to do by the time this scholarship is done? You have your degree in hand. What are you doing? What do you have in mind? And I didn't know yet, which is part of it, because the future is meant to be uncertain. But I still needed a roadmap, things in mind. I'd like to be a trainer. I also wouldn't mind working in a clinical setting. I could do PT as well, physical therapy. But I also want to involve this side of me, because I never gave up. The urge to upload never completely disappeared. Even though I wasn't completely bought in, there's still a part of me that's like, yo, YouTube is my shit, or just creating is my shit, whatever you want to call it. And I don't like the term influencer. I was a YouTuber before the term influencer appeared. That shit is so pretentious to me, and I'd never want to call myself, and it probably, you know, might even happen at some point, but I wouldn't want to call myself a fucking influencer. That sounds like, I don't know. That just sounds pretentious to me. It just sounds pretentious. Like, if people care about what I have to say, that's cool, but I'm not gonna say I influence others. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with that tag. Just me though. Anyway, that's what I was at. I was at a point where I was like, Dre, what do you want to do? What do you see yourself doing? And I still wanted to keep this side of me involved to some extent, you know. And I thought of things I would want to do. I definitely would love to write on Saturday Night Live. I would love to be a host of something, maybe even in the 2K League. I just feel like I can do things if put in the position to do them. And it's so many things that I feel like I could do. You know, I no longer look up and see the ceiling. I don't know if it's just me, especially in the summertime or just times where you're off of school and you just have extra time on your hands. You start caring about unnecessary ass shit. It's like your mind just needs something to give a fuck about. And it just finds and reaches shit that you shouldn't give a fuck about for you to give a fuck about. Speaking of women, here we go. I hate the fact that some people I know actually like know that I do this, because now I have them in mind before I say certain things. Speaking of women, and not to say why I wasn't uploading as much, but another thing that contributed to the mental space I was in was a girl. And you know, I have this bad habit, and I'm trying to break it, that when I find a girl that I'm really interested in, I'll get tunnel vision. I don't know why. It's something about my personality. I just lock on like a fucking homing missile, and just like, I don't know. Either way, the point I was getting to was there was a girl I was interested in. I even if y'all were following me on Twitter, I could put the tweet up and you might remember it, because I tweeted when I met her. And you know, I got to know her over the period of the semester, and shit blew up in my face completely. She hit me with the classic Florida girl, because Florida girls they're their own breed. They really are. She hit me with that, I told you from the jump that I wasn't into that. You know, that's not what I was looking for. Even though throughout the progression of the whatever you want to call it, let me put it this way. she want me to be her boyfriend until I really want to be her boyfriend, you know. But you know, it'd be like that. And when that blew up in my face, I was in another mental space where I wasn't even upset with her. I wasn't mad at her. I didn't feel like, you know, I was like led on, maybe a little bit, but you know, I wasn't blaming her. I was blaming myself. I was like, you know, Dre, you should be grown enough to realize by now when it's real, when it's not, when a girl wants something, when she don't. And I was just disappointed in myself. Like, wow, I'm still like, I'm stupid as fuck. It's easy to try to blame someone for how you may feel. But at the end of the day, how you feel is on you. You know, you contributed to how you feel. It was like shit, because like, I wasted my time and it's my fault. But that's therapeutic to me because it's easier to get past when I reflect on the hand that I had in things. Because then I can take it as a lesson, and now I know better, or hopefully will know better. But that's something else that makes it difficult to do this, honestly, because I know people want content from me, but I've said it to you know, friends that I've developed off of YouTube or Twitter or whatever, that like the hardest part about trying to be entertaining or being entertaining or just doing this is when you have to fake it. Some people can do it, they can do it consistently. I've done it. There's definitely videos out there on this channel where I was 100% unhappy or depressed or upset about something, but I faked it because I wanted to upload. I wanted to give y'all something. And I can't consistently do that because there's a certain level of authenticity that I like to keep in doing this. Because even if it's faking it just to get a laugh or a smile out of the person that's watching my content, it's still fake. And in this mental space, I feel a lot more motivation to do all the things that I want to do. All I need is the time. So, you know, I've organized my schedule so that hopefully I have more free time in chunks, because the hard part wasn't playing 2K. The hard time was getting time to edit, because I would get just pockets of time throughout a day, an hour or two here and there, and editing sessions for 2K games, gameplays and all that. Yo, if y'all know, it takes more than that. You got to sit down for a good chunk if you're actually trying to make good content, at least like 3 hours, 4 hours for a gameplay. Pack openings and, you know, stuff like that are simpler, but for good content gameplay, you're spending at least 3-4 hours doing your thing, you know? And that was tough to do just throughout my schedule, because it would just be a couple hours between a class, then I got my work shift. By the time I get home, I'm completely beat. Next day I got to get up at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., do the same thing. So that's why it was harder. I had to find my bearings. But, you know, hopefully with the way I've organized my schedule so far, how it looks, I'll be able to have the time to do it. And I'm not hopeful. I'm optimistic. You know, I don't feel bad going into 2K20. I feel like my team was decent in 19. I just didn't play it much. And I'm ready to just like continue on with this thing that I started. Because I had no intentions of stopping. It's just I needed to find myself again, which I feel like I've done and am still doing. So that's where I am. Before switching the conversation to basketball, free agency, NBA, finish off with that, I wanted to pose a question, because I was thinking about, I didn't have the second half to this. I wrote in my notes, me and a friend of mine that I work with, she, I don't know how the conversation got there, but we started just listing off male cheat codes. And by that, we meant, like, what is it that niggas have that's, like, it makes it easier for you to, you know, pick up a girl, right? So the things that girls immediately request in their Tinder bios and shit, you know, like 6 feet, or don't message me, that type of shit. So we put down a beard. Some women do really like, you look so much better just with a beard. Just put the beard on and you look better. It doesn't matter what you look like, you just went up a point because you added a fucking beard. Height, obviously, you know, which is generally, I think, maybe like 5'10" is fair, would be good, because then at least most girls can wear heels and not be taller than you. Now she gave me this one, right? Because she went to a state school, which is kind of what I kind of wanted to do until I did this, but whatever. So frat status. So niggas in fraternities, which I always thought to be, I don't know, I just felt like it was corny, man. Like the things that I heard of them doing to get in, just it's, you know, and sometimes just like it was a party school kind of thing, you know. I couldn't see myself being a frat guy or a bro, whatever the fuck they call themselves, but it wasn't my thing. But apparently she says that is some real shit that gets you pussy around campus, which is, I can see that, you know, I can definitely see that. I forgot which group of absolute dogs she told me about. I think they were at Florida State. Some niggas that literally like, hey, boy, come on!
If you don't be out, something wrong. Be out. It is recorded. If he's scared, something's wrong.
You know, Becky going wild over that shit. You know, some big buff brolic black guy named Daryl doing that shit, then putting her on his shoulders and shit. Like, it's her chocolate fantasy, bro. Athletes, right? That one goes without saying. Dreads. Now, especially in fucking South Florida, bruh. Oh, I hate the fact that I really say bruh just off non-instinct. Now, fuck. Son. In South Florida, son. Girls love their fucking dreads. Just, I don't know, it's some really ratchet shit. And you don't even gotta be black with dreads. You could really be just some Spanish nigga, light-skinned Spanish nigga with dreads and like a grill. Money, obviously. Tattoos, obviously. And finally, the haircut. So we came to the conclusion that every race of male has the haircut. For white guys, it's definitely that, you know, comb over Adam Levine type shit right there with the sides faded, and they got the nice hair on top. For Hispanic men or mixed people with curly hair, it's definitely that fade, so you got the curly mohawk going on. It depends how long you want or how wide you want the mohawk to be. You could just get a little blowout on the sides, but it's definitely like the hawk, when the whole side of the head is gone. To get the mohawk going is when it really pops, so I'm told. And for black guys, it's definitely the what was it, the Odell? If not the Odell, then I call it almost the carrot top, where they just have the it looked like a pencil eraser on top almost, but not as like shaped as a pencil eraser. A mop, if you will. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, I'm gonna have it on the screen. For, I guess, like straight hair, like Mexican or Asian, they got the rat tail going. But each race, y'all see what I'm saying, has a haircut. It's called I'll guess it's the fuckboy look, but they have the haircut. So that's what we had for men. But now, I don't know what female cheat codes are, to be honest. I mean, obviously there's the general fat ass. If you're an ass guy, which I am, I don't really care what the cup size is, to be honest, but that's what it is for other men. Let's just say, obviously, a pretty face. But, you know, women talk like this too. Let me not feel too bad. Because when women want to shit on, like, some girl that they don't think is all that shit is hurtful, if y'all ever heard it, man. I have sisters. But, I don't know, maybe dimples. I definitely think dimples would be a female cheat code. Some men would say back dimples. Cute feet. Definitely. I think cute feet, for me, which does not mean I have a foot fetish. I've been accused of that just by saying I like cute feet. No. Men who know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It don't mean you want to fuck the foot. It just means that her foot is aesthetically pleasing. That's it. Alright? Especially when they get the fresh petty. Oh, man. That's another female cheat code. Freshly done nails, my nigga. There is nothing that I find... No, there's probably is. But there's just few things I find cuter or more pleasing to the eye than a girl that just got her nails done. And I don't mean no long-ass acrylic ratchet city girls shit. Just, you know, you just went to the nail salon. I see you, boo. They look great. They look great. And girls do love it when you throw that compliment at them. It don't mean you gotta like them or nothing. Just like acknowledge, because they did it for themselves. But you know, it's nice to hear it. You know, something non-aesthetic that I would say is a female cheat code is if she knows about your sport that you like. You know, just not sports in general, because well, you know, that too. But if she just at least knows your sport of choice, because that opens up so many new lanes of conversation, not just about the sport, but a lot of the times just the topic or conversation of sports, because there's so many things that goes on in the world of sports that it leads to new things for y'all to talk about and new ways to connect. Like, I can't tell you how many or how often I learned something new about my boy just because we were talking about something that was going on in basketball and the conversation just led there, you know? And on top of that, then y'all can go to games and shit, man. That's dope. That's literally the fucking dream. I don't want to imagine in the future that I'm going to have a partner that when I want to go to a Knicks game and cheer for us while we're down fucking 20, that she's going to let me go to that and suffer by myself. All right? I need someone there to at least make me feel a little better about being there. So in the comments, y'all tell me what y'all think female cheat codes are, because I can only name so much just off the top. Now, so much has happened in the NBA that what I'm doing right now is I pulled up just every NBA team, because there's no way I could just off the top of my head talk about everything that has happened since the last couple of months, right? So let's start off with the Lakers, just because when you type in NBA teams on Google, the first team that comes up is the Lakers. I wonder fucking why. So, I mean, good for them. They got AD, top 4 seed. Curious to see how LeBron looks in this year. More than anything, I'm curious to see how LeBron looks. Obviously, they're a contender. I like the Clippers more, though, to be honest with you, just because Paul George and Kawhi in 2K, that sounds fucking ferocious. Imagine real life. And Pat Beverly, holy fuck. Imagine bringing the ball up against that computer defense. But yeah, you know, I'm just more curious than anything to see how LeBron looks in year, what is this, 17? Because I feel bad for thinking like this, but I do think that Lakers LeBron, when it's all said and done, will be seen as the most, he's the washed, I can't even say those 2 words in a sentence without feeling wrong, man. But I just feel like, I feel wrong for thinking it, but it's just, when I was watching him, he still averaged 27, 7, and 7. I don't know, bro. I'm pressed to believe that this nigga is going to be on some Brady shit and just come out here at age 34. I don't see it, but I very well could be wrong. Probably am wrong, and I hope LeBron James proves me wrong, because I am no longer a LeBron hater. I used to be, definitely. If I was to open Facebook and actually do that this day, 5-something years ago, you posted this shit, it would be nothing but LeBron hate tweets. Hate posts from like the Heats. I'm no longer a hater. I'm an advocate for LeBron James. It's just I'm also a critic. So this is my critic side saying, I don't know if you're 17, you're 18, LeBron is gonna be out here just fucking shit up, man. You know, if I'm gonna give you a stat line, I'm gonna say 24, 6, and 8. 24.6 rebounds, 8 assists, which is still a phenomenal year. You know, if they have like near 60 wins, that could be MVP, possibly. But, you know, that's just me. That's just me, people. That's just me. I hope LeBron proves me wrong. The Warriors seem to be playing my GM to some extent. I don't know if y'all really play my GM, y'all know that D'Angelo Russell just always turns out to be just a key fucking figure in all the deals that you want to do in the upcoming future. I don't know why, unless it's just me. The Raptors, shout out to y'all. That is the most glorious one-hit wonder that may ever go down in NBA history. That was Vanilla Ice, 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 baby. Y'all knocked it out the fucking park, and now nothing remains except Kyle Lowry. Shout out to the thickest NBA champion of all time. I love that Kyle Lowry is a fucking NBA champion. I'm gonna be waving that shit around in so many point guards' faces this season. You know, I'm still a Russ fan. I still fuck with Russ, but I don't think he wins a championship in his career unless he really does change his game this year. This year will say a lot about how the rest of his career will go, I think. I just don't know if... I see the logic, though. Because what I think the Rockets did is they went for a player that at his peak was a greater player than the current player they had at their peak. And they're both no longer at their peaks, but Russ is right now a better player than Chris was, and he is a former MVP. So the logic made sense. It's just the play styles is what's making people question it. So I guess there's a lot to be seen there. I definitely thought he would have ended up in Miami, and honestly, if Westbrook did end up in Miami, I would have went to a couple of games. Might even have bought the pink Vice Knight Westbrook jersey, because that would have been tough.
Smell like bitch in here. All y'all smell like bitch to me.
So that didn't happen, but curious to see how Chris Paul finishes his days living out with the men of the Night's Watch. I just find it so serendipitous that, you know, just why I think Chris, like I said earlier in the podcast, man, you have a hand in everything that happens to you, and to some extent I definitely think Chris wanting this big ass contract that I'm sure he knew he didn't deserve, but, you know, go get your money, had a hand in this, because I really thought that he should have taken a smaller deal in order to sign better role players, but instead he just asked for the max that he could fucking get, which to some extent is like, I understand, but you're also selfish. So I'm not you, that was your decision, good for you. So I think that played a role in him ending up where he is now. The 76ers, I don't know what they lost TJ McConnell. That's the biggest thing that happened to them. They lost the heart and soul of their fucking team, and he is the last final key piece of the process. And in my opinion, no TJ, no chance. They have no chance in winning this fucking ring, any rings, without TJ McConnell involved. So, you know, good for them, good for Ben and his new contract, but the real star of that team is gone, if we're being real here. I have a question, though. Why the fuck do people think the Utah Jazz are about to take over the world? I know who Michael Conley is. I know they got Michael Conley. I know Conley, Gobert, Mitchell, Ingles. They have a solid all-around squad. Crowder, Derek Favors, if he's still there. But it's just like the Michael Conley pickup really, like, their hype built up a lot higher than I thought it would have for that pickup. That's just me, though. They definitely are capable of being a top 4 team. I think they end up around 5-6. The Blazers, I think, had a key pickup, very low key, and y'all are about to laugh at me when I say this, but Hassan Whiteside. Listen, hear me out. When he gives a fuck about playing, he plays the best. Because when you remember, I'm just trying to have my 2K game and all of that, his back was up against the wall. He was trying to make the team, like, keeps to stay on the Heat. And then it went to earning his contract, and that's when he had his best years. Now I think this is his expiring year, and, you know, this is do you want to keep playing? Do you want another team to offer you something? You got to start playing now. You got to show out. So I think Whiteside comes out, has a good year, or I hope Whiteside comes out, has a good year. Heat fans just made that nigga sound like the devil. Just get the fuck. But I like, because he feels what they need. They needed defense, they needed rebounding, they needed a man in the middle, especially after Nurkic had that horrible injury. So I liked that pickup, and if it works, that's exactly what they needed. So shout out to the Blazers. I'm always low-key watching them for Dame. Shout out to John Wall, his Achilles, and the $200 million that they both will be collecting over the next period of time. And, you know, all right, let me just, no, I'll get to that last. My favorite team, not named the Knicks this year, I would probably say is maybe the Pelicans. As a whole, I really fuck with their core. Maybe I'm just still holding on to the Zion pipe dream. He's friends with RJ. Maybe he'll team up one day, but I don't know why. But I fuck with the Pelicans. I like the JJ Redick pickup. I like Lonzo. Don't really give much of a fuck about Brandon Ingram, but let's see what happens with him. And I love Zion. You know, he's such a bright personality. I really love just his energy. So I fuck with that team. I'm watching them. Probably won't make the playoffs, but they do have good players. And Jrue Holiday, how could I forget him? You know, it's dope. I think a very untold story of how Jrue Holiday has come back to be such a great player. Solid player that a lot of teams would love after going through what he went through with his wife. If you don't know, his wife was, I think she's a U.S. women's soccer player, but she was pregnant and had brain cancer at the same time. and that's why he took time off of basketball to help take care of her. I think their daughter they had, and she is now okay. So shout out to him and being able to come back from that. He changed. You know, that's another thing. He changed his focus in life at the moment, and then came back to handle business after everything in the rest of his personal life was okay. So very admirable. And now I am happy with what my Knicks have done over free agency. You know, I did touch on it a little bit in one of my first take reaction videos. We signed people to deals that were manageable, and you know, we're not locked into anything. It's just like, let's see what plays out and happens over the next 2 years. And you know, the Nets, I recently came back from vacation in New York, and I saw maybe 2 people in Nets jerseys in my time there, and they're the exact niggas that you would have imagined in Nets jerseys. And if you're from New York, you know the niggas that I'm talking about. Dark, chubby, cargos, possibly J's on his feet. Definitely has the snapback or the fitted of Brooklyn. It's just one of them niggas. And it's still a Knicks town. That's the biggest thing. It's still a Knicks town. And I find the irony funny because if we had gotten KD and Kyrie, I would have been ecstatic. I would be #1 stand on here talking about all my shit. But the fact that they went to the Nets kind of changed my perspective, because now I look at it as like, you really think you're going to win with Kevin Durant off an Achilles injury and Kyrie Irving? That's the championship squad with Spencer Dinwiddie and DeAndre Jordan. Yeah, bro. Yeah. Let me see how that happens. I'd like to see it. And I definitely think Durant's Achilles injury is what led to that. I think because there's no way you go to the Knicks, literally the worst franchise, I guess you could say, next to the Suns, and try to rebuild and make the impossible happen off of the worst possible injury that could ever happen to you in your sport. That's tough. That's tough. You know, you can't pull that off on your own. So I think that's what changed his perspective maybe to now say, okay, because Kyrie was sold on the Nets. So he said, you know, it's better I go with him than go do this by myself when I'm coming off of this. It just seems like that's what happened to me. That made sense. I think when Durant comes back, they definitely can be like a top 3 seed in the East easily. But I don't know if they're a championship team. I guess it depends on the other people that sign over the years. I don't know what their flexibility looks like, but my Knicks have all the flexibility in the league, and I am fine with that. I've been waiting this whole time. I can wait a little longer now that we actually look hopeful. So I'm chilling. I'm not talking my shit, but best believe I'm looming, niggas. Because when we get good, y'all don't want to hear this. This is years of shit talking building up. Y'all don't want this, man. And as a final thought, I'd like to end on this. Shout out to my guy, Carmelo Anthony. And you know, actually, my friend mentioned this to me, that the Nets should be the one to sign Melo, which I would be actually perfectly okay with, because he would fill something that I think they're missing, which is just more scoring, more depth. His height is just, he's a good solid player to have for what they have right now, and more shooting. And he's from Brooklyn. It really is Brooklyn where he spent his time when he was a New Yorker. It's where he identifies with, so I would be cool with that. But shout out to Melo for how he has handled what might be the end of his career. I definitely enjoyed that interview with him and Stephen A on First Take. If you haven't seen all of it in its entirety, you definitely should go watch it, because he talked about so many things just outside of, you know, just his current situation, about how he almost was the Bosh in Big Three, because it was meant to be him and not Bosh, but just his mindset at the time changed the complete narrative of what could have been. Just to touch on it real quick, he took a 5-year deal instead of a 3-year deal, so he wasn't a free agent in 2010 when that was a possibility, and it was because he just had a different mindset. Like, he was like, I'm a kid from Baltimore, I'm out here eating, I need to get this money, I don't want to turn extra 2 years of it away. And it was just very honest, it was real raw, and Melo doesn't do things like that. Melo is a very quiet, reserved to himself kind of guy too, so it's refreshing to see that side of him, and he spoke so well. And I hope he does get an offer from some championship team, because I feel like a lot of people want this Melo narrative to change and would love to see a graceful ending or something glorifying, you know, because it was even cool to see Jeremy Lin win his ring with the Raptors this year. There was some glory in watching that, even as a Knicks fan. So I hope there is something in the cards that's greater for Melo, and he has handled everything that's went on in his life very gracefully. Let's say gracefully. And he has never acted out and never been overly emotional in any of the interviews. Even when the Knicks were losing, he just seems like a very well-balanced, calm, grounded person. So you can't help but hope for someone like that to win. You know, so shout out to Melo. He's who I'm rooting for going into the 2020 season. I am so motivated and ready to play 2K. It's weird. I shouldn't be, but I am. So y'all definitely are going to get some uploads. And like I said, I'm going to do my best to make the time. But hopefully this gave y'all what you were looking for when you clicked on the video. Thank you for listening to me talk this long if you have, because even I'm going to have a grueling time editing all this shit back and listening to my own voice. So I hope whoever is listening to this, you're good, what's going on in your life. And whatever's worrying you, don't let that worry you, because it's probably going to pass.
Keep the bells ringing for you. It's a celebration for you. No, yeah. And I promised you a good time. Is it a good time? No, you keep it up. Can you wait? No, I need it. Can you wait?
Let it go. Make it pretty. Instant. Don't delay. And this is